Hello guys, in this video we're going to continue the discussion on Yin and Yang theories. In the previous video we have introduced the Yin and Yang, the definition of Yin and Yang. Also we have introduced the nature of Yin and Yang. Also Yin and Yang refers to the opposite sides of the interrelated objects. So in this video, we're going to continue to talk about the characters of Yin and Yang. Also, we're going to introduce how to apply Yin and Yang in our practice, or why we need to study Yin and Yang theories. So from the previous video, we know that there's some interrelated objects or stuff can be divided into Yin and Yang, or can be grouped into Yin or Yang, such as day and night. Day is Yang, night is Yin. Cold or hot. Cold is Yin, hot is Yang. So these are the nature of different objects. In this video, the characters of Yin and Yang. There are two characters of Yin and Yang. The first one is absoluteness of Yin and Yang. The second is the relativities of Yin and Yang. What does it mean by the absoluteness of Yin and Yang? This character refers to the absoluteness of Yin and Yang, means that Yin and Yang, the property or the nature of Yin and Yang will never be changed. Yin is Yin, Yang is Yang. They have very clear line in between us. For instance, compare with the water and fire. So from this picture, when we compare with the water and fire, fire is Yang, water is Yin. No matter how weak the water is, or how weak the fire is compared with the water, the fire is Yin. Also, compared with the fire, no matter how hot the water is, hot water or extremely hot water, compared with fire, the hot water is Yang, the hot water is Yin. So in this condition, when we compare with Yin and Yang, when we compare with water and fire, very weak fire compared with water is also belong to Yang. Very hot water compared with fire, it also belongs to Yin. That's the absoluteness of Yin and Yang. So fire is Yang no matter how weak it is. Water is Yin. Water is Yang no matter how hot it is. They will never change to the other side. So compared with water and fire, there's no way, no situation that water can be Yang, fire can be Yin. So that refers to the absoluteness of Yin and Yang. And the second characters, relativities of Yin and Yang. So it's quite confused here, because absoluteness and relativities are actually opposites. Relativities of Yin and Yang means that Yin and Yang, they can change to each other. Now again with water and fire, when you compare with water and fire, fire is Yang. But when you compare with these two pictures, the first picture, the fire here, and this picture, the at the bottom, the fire from a match. Compared with these two, the fire at the bottom is yin, the fire on top is yang. The reason is the fire at the bottom is weaker than the fire on top. That's why the fire at the bottom is yin. But then when you compare with the bottom fire with and the water here, the fire is yang. This fire, the fire at the bottom, compared with the fire on top, is yin. The fire at the bottom again, this fire compared with the water, this fire is yang. So it sounds a bit confused now. The fire at the bottom, this fire, is yin or yang? So the question is, the fire at the bottom is yin or yang? The answer is actually, the fire can be yin or yang. It depends on what's the opposites you're going to compare. That's the relativities of yin and yang. And the relativities of yin and yang also can refer to different phenomena. So the first one we introduce is due to different comparing opposites, they can change. The fire can change into yin or yang, depends on which opposites you're going to compare. The relativities of yin and yang also can refer to the transformation of the object itself. Let's see the picture on the right corner. That's the picture. There's some water here. The water changed into ice. If you put the water in a freezer, and then the water becomes ice. The water is a liquid form. And then the ice, it's cubic, it's hard. So in terms of the shape or the tense or the hardness, water is yin because the liquid is soft, and the ice is yang because it's hard. So the water can change into, the water which is yin can change into yang, which is hard in the ice form. And also, in terms of the temperature, the ice, the temperature is lower than the temperature of a room temperature water. So in terms of the temperature, the room temperature water is yang, the ice is yin. So you see here from these two statements, the first I said the room temperature water is yang. The second I said the room temperature water is yin. It's because of the different aspects we're going to compare. And also this example indicates that yin and yang, they can change to each other within themselves, such as the water can change into ice, and the ice is still the same water. And also the last aspects, the last characters here is the yin and yang, the relativities of yin and yang also tells us that yin and yang, they can't separate, and they actually content in each other, such as the fire from the match. This fire, you can see the fire is yang. We already have discussed the fire is yang. But when you see the bottom of the flame. So because it's dark, you can't actually draw up here. At the bottom of the flame, it's dark, and on top, it's here, it's yellow. So here it's brighter and it's yang, but at the bottom, it's darker, so it's yin. There's still fire there. So in this flame, in this fire, it's yang, but there's also yin inside. And the other picture, the right corner at the bottom, this picture, it's a picture of the beach at night. The water is in, but you see at night it's very bright here. So it's because of the brightness. Here is yang, but here still the water. Yin and yang. That's why yin and yang, they stay together. They interrelated to each other. Yin and yang cannot be separated. So that's the relativities of yin and yang. It refers to three aspects. One is yin and yang, they can transform into each other. Yin can transform into yang, yang can transform into yin. And then with different comparing objects, the nature of yin and yang can be changed due to different objects. The last aspect is yin and yang stays in yin and yang. Also, in the other way, you can say that there are yin and yang in yin or yang. So the fire is yang, but you can see the darker parts at the bottom, which is yin. The water is yin, but you can see it's very bright and nice. It's yang. So yin, there are yin or yang in yin or yang objects. So that's the two characteristics of yin and yang theories. The absoluteness of yin and yang also refers to such as something opposite, for instance, up or down, on top or at the bottom, bright or dark, warm or cold. These opposite stuff, they're absolutely different. And if they belong to yang, they are yang. There's no way to change it. That's the true characters of yin and yang. So this slides we have already discussed, and then there's one picture here. That's the similar example as the fire we gave you just now. Compare with the kids. This picture. This adult, this male is yang. This kids is yin, because the size. When you compare with this picture. So from the first picture, the small kids, the small boy, this boy is yin. But you see when you compare with here, male and female, male is yang, female is yin. But this boy also male. This male is yang, this male is yin. It's because of the different comparing objects. In the content of the yin and yang theories, there are many 5 or 6 here aspects of yin and yang. What does it mean of yin and yang, or what are the laws of yin and yang? Exactly when we study the essence and qi theories, we don't focus on the substance, what exactly they are, but we focus on the law of qi or essence. Here, the same, when we study the yin and yang, we focus on the laws of yin and yang. What's the relationship? How we can apply yin and yang theories in our practice? What's the common law or characteristic of yin and yang? The first one is opposition of yin and yang. The second is interdependence of yin and yang. The third is waning and waxing of yin and yang. And the fourth, intertransformation of yin and yang. The fifth, equilibriums of yin and yang. And the sixth, they are yin and yang within yin and yang. The sixth, the reason why I said 5 or 6 contents here, because the yin and yang within yin and yang is actually similar to the aspect we have discussed, the relativities of yin and yang. So there are 4 we're going to introduce. The first is the opposition of yin and yang. The opposition of yin and yang actually is quite similar to the absoluteness of yin and yang. Yin and yang are opposite, such as day or night. Day is bright, night is darker. Day is warmer, night is colder. So they are opposite to each other, day and night. Or the picture at the bottom, cold and hot. Cold and hot are opposite. There is no cold in hot. So they're opposites. So in this situation, it is either or. You only can choose one. It's the opposition of yin and yang. The next one we're going to focus on is the interdependence of yin and yang. When we start our course, I told you that's how we're going to convince you to learn this kind of theories from Asia, from Asia, and also it's not some ways of thinking in your culture. And then I told you that's the laws we use. It's actually the laws of the nature. We did not create anything in our theories to apply in our practice. All the laws we use are from the nature, such as yin and yang. Then also the laws we're going to study now, we also can see the phenomena from the nature. You actually already knew, but you just don't realize. So the interdependence of yin and yang is something in nature you can see. From spring to summer, the climate, the weather become hotter and hotter. So hotter and hotter, the temperature keep increasing. And also from spring to summer, we got more rain, especially in South Africa, and especially in Joburg. In summer, that's our rain season. So from spring to summer, the temperature become hotter and hotter, then we also got more rain. So hotter and hotter is yang. The temperature become hot is yang. It rains more. Rain is the water is yin. So the interdependence of yin and yang refers to the mutual generation of each other. Once yang increase, yin also increase. Once yang increase, yin increase. That's the laws in nature. That's from the phenomena from the nature. When the weather become hotter, and we also have more rain actually. That's when yang increase, yin increase. So this kind of law, once we knew this kind of law, we can apply this law in our practice. For instance, if someone got essence, lack of essence, or essence deficiency, so they don't have enough essence. The common reason is their parents might be older when they were born, or they work a lot, cause the consuming excess essence. So the patient have essence deficiency. They don't have enough essence. The essence is very hard to tonify, and but we knew that essence is found. So from the theories, from the definition we show you in Chinese medicine, the essence is the liquid substance stored in the organs. And qi, something formed. Or this should be changed to each other. Here is yin, here yang. Yang should be here. So I'm going to correct after the video. Qi is yang. Qi is foundless. We don't see qi is foundless. Foundless is yang. Found is yin. So someone got yin deficiency. They don't have enough yin. So this goes to here. Essence deficiency. They don't have enough yin. And this essence is very hard to tonify. It's very hard to tonify the essence directly. So what can we do in our treatment? We can help to increase the yang. That's because if yang increase, yin also will be increased. If yang increase, the yin also can be increased. So for this kind of treatment, we're going to use acupuncture treatments or herbal medicine treatments to tonify qi, to improve the qi, to improve the yang, and then the yin also can be improved. In this condition, the essence can be tonified. So there's one explanation why we can improve the qi, tonify the qi, to improve the essence. That's how to use this law in our practice. The next character of Yin and Yang, waning and waxing of Yin and Yang. From winter to spring, the climate becomes warmer. So in winter it's cold. In winter it's colder. In spring or summer it's hotter. So the temperature increases. But from the temperature, if you separate them, for instance, certain room temperature is the balance of cold. The balance of cold or room temperature and hot. This is very similar. A room temperature water or a glass of warm water. How to make a glass of warm water? You can put some ice water, and then you can add some hot water, cold water, ice. You can add some ice cold water, and then you can add some hot water. So the glass of warm water is the balance of the hot water and the cold water. So that's temperature. You can see in this way. It's the balance between cold and hot. So when in winter, from winter to spring, when the temperature increased, the coldness decreased, and the hotness increased. It's less cold, more hot. So in this condition, Yin decreased, Yang increased. So that's another law of Yin and Yang. Waning and waxing also refers to the other condition. This condition is very similar to the interdependence. From spring to summer, the temperature becomes warmer, hotter and hotter, and we got more rain. So Yang increase, Yin also increase. From autumn to winter, become colder and we got less rain. Yang decrease, Yin decrease. So this law we also can apply in our practice. That's in some condition. If some patient they got excess Yang, we can clear the excess Yang directly. We also can clear the Yin to help to reduce the Yang. This depends on the condition because they will affect each other. The intertransformation of Yin and Yang. Yin and Yang, sometimes they can transform into each other. For instance, in summer, normally it is hot in summer, but sometimes it changes into cold, especially in Joburg, in South Africa. In South Africa, we got a lot of hailstorm in summer, and during a very hot day in the afternoon, it's all of a sudden there's some hailstones there, and then in the evening it become very cold. So in summer, generally it is hot, and that's the Yang. That's all of a sudden, because of the hailstorm, and it become cold, similar to winter. That's Yin. So the intertransformation of Yin and Yang is actually the similar. Yang change to Yin dramatically, and this dramatically sometimes is not the common law in the nature. That's why sometimes it causes damages, as you can see from the third picture. The third picture is the plants or the vegetables, flowers after a hailstorm. It causes damages. So as from this phenomena, you will see this kind of a sudden change. Sometimes it's abnormal and it can cause damage. If you have this kind of thinking, this ways of thinking in mind, if you see some clinical phenomena, you will know the prognosis is good or not. For example, there's one patient with heart failure, with acute heart failure, and then the patient suffered from difficult breathing and irritation and restless and very fast pulse. The heartbeat was 120 beats per minute. So all these kinds of symptoms, Yang symptoms, because it's more active, but all of a sudden the patient become quiet and the blood pressure going to drop. The patient did not look down, restless or irritated. Is it a good sign or not? In future, when we see patients from the clinic, you will see, or if you have a chance to see patients in the hospital, you will see this kind of condition actually indicates that the heart function declining. So it's not a good sign in clinic. This also in this situation, you also can see from excess yang symptoms, change to yin symptoms or symptoms directly or dramatically. All of a sudden, it changed into yin. Most of the condition, not 100%, but most of the condition is not a good sign. That's because this kind of a change doesn't obey the law in the nature. This kind of a change in summer, from hot weather and become cold directly, that's abnormal in the nature and cause all these damages. That's why the dramatic changes in our body also can cause damage. So these are some of the examples in our clinical practice. The equilibriums of yin and yang. This aspect actually is quite easy to understand. It just refers to the balance of yin and yang. So all what we talk about is the balance. We don't want too much yang. We also don't want too much yin. So, such as the picture here, the black and the white parts are equally the same. If we got excess white parts, then this circle got excess white parts. The dark parts is not enough to balance them. That's the abnormal situation. Or if we got less white parts, then if we don't have this parts, that's also not balanced, because we got relatively excess yin, because this part of yang only can balance from the dark part. I can't draw the picture, so only can balance parts of the yin. Then we got excess yin here. Then we apply to the yin, the other parts. We can see the demonstration in the later slide. Yin and yang with yin and yang. What has been there is similar to the fire I showed you in the previous slides from the matches. Yin and yang, when they change to each other, it doesn't actually change dramatically. Yin and yang, they're always together. I like this picture on the top left. This picture. This is the picture of the sun during the day. So compare with the day and night. Day is yang or yin. So compare with day and night. Day is yang. So the sun is yang. But you can see from this picture, why I like this picture is because this picture indicates very well the relationship between yin and yang. In early morning, when the sun rises, you can see the color bright, but not as bright as 12 o'clock. Not as bright as here. Compared with the sun in the morning and the sun at noon, it's bright but still darker than the sun and the moon. When they move from the morning to noon, it becomes brighter and brighter. That's because the yang increase, yin decrease, and then that's morning, from early morning to 12 o'clock at noon. From 12 o'clock at noon to sunset, to early evening, yang decrease, but also when you see from the picture, you also become darker and darker or become red. There's some other colors there indicates yin increase. So let's remember from early morning to early evening. That's the daytime. Still remember the first question I asked you, right? Day is yang. The night is yin. So on the other side, we didn't have the picture there. On the other side, from early evening to the next morning is yin. As you can see from here, the yang increased, the yang decreased. Yang, we get more and more yang, we got less yang in the afternoon. That's why in the morning we say that in the morning it's yang with yin yang. During the day it's yang, but in the morning it's the yang yin yang. In the afternoon it's yin yang. So in the morning it's yang, in the yang of the day. In the afternoon it's yin with yin yang, because this part in the afternoon still during the day and still yang, but compared with the morning it's yin. That's why yang during the day. Yang, the yin yang. So if there's one question I ask you, compare with morning and afternoon, morning is yang or yin? Then the answer is morning is yang, afternoon is yin. That's because the yin and yang changes within day or night. Also similar to the evening. From early evening to 12 o'clock in the morning, the yin increase, yang decrease, and from 12 o'clock in the morning to early morning from the side, that's yin, that's yang in yin. From early evening to midnight, it's yin in yin. Okay. So from here it's yin in yin. From here it's yang in yang. In the afternoon it's yang. In the afternoon it's yin in yang. In the morning, from 12 o'clock to early morning, is yang in yin. So if you got confused here, you can just listen again carefully and make your own notes, because it's a bit confusion here, a bit confused here. And also, you can see the picture at the bottom. Because of the earth move around the sun, but the sun didn't stay in the center. That's why sometimes in summer, it is hotter because we closer to the sun. In winter, we are further away from the sun. That's yin and yang in the environment. So actually, we have already shown you some of the applications, clinical applications of yin and yang. So why we need to study yin and yang theories? We can use yin and yang theories to explain the human body structures, such as the top part of your body is yang, the bottom part of your body is yin, the back is yang, the abdomen, chest is yin. And we also summarize the physiological function. So in which condition is normal for our body? In which condition it's healthy? There's one question here. People here enjoy dreaming a lot. They exercise a lot. But as you can see, the dream They always open until very late. So the question is it a good habit to exercise in the evening, and why? So when you study, when you have learned of the yin and yang theories, you can use this kind of theories to analyze this phenomena, and also can analyze this kind of to answer this kind of question. Exercise in the evening is it healthy or not? In the evening is yin compared with the day, and also especially in the early evening to the midnight, it's yin in yin. So it is yin, and also from the early evening to midnight, yin in yin. So it's actually yin, the nature of yin, or the property of yin is static compared with yang. Yang is more active. So in yin condition, in yin situation, you need to be quiet. You need to rest. But at this time, you exercise. You try to boost. You're going to be excited. That's why sometimes it's not healthy to exercise in the evening, because this kinds of habits is against the nature of the law of the nature. The third is we can use yin and yang theories to explain the pathological changes of the body. We can use yin and yang theory to analyze the etiology. We can to analyze the pathological changes, such as what kinds of pathogens are yang pathogens, what kinds of pathogens yin pathogens, and what kinds of sort of pathological changes belong to yang, what kinds of pathological changes belong to yin, and they have their properties. They have what's the law of yang pathogen, what's the law of the yin pathogen. We're going to study in the etiologies. Also, we can use for diagnosis, summarize the symptoms of different diseases, used for the treatment, prevention of diseases. So we actually going to explain this in details in our future study. We're going to apply these laws a lot in our practice. Yin and Yang is one of the most fundamental theories we are using in our practice. Until here, we have introduced most of the content of Yin and Yang. And then what's the relationship among Yin and Yang? Yin, essence, Qi, and Yin and Yang. So Yin and Yang, as you can see from here, Yin and Yang is actually abbreviations of Yin Qi and Yang Qi. So Yin stands for Yin Qi, Yang stands for Yang Qi, Yang Qi. Yin stands for Yin Qi. It's because we are lazy, we want to speak one word instead of saying two words. Yin Qi or Yang Qi. Qi separates, we can divide this Qi into two categories. One is Yin, the other one is Yang. Qi is what is generated from essence. And then once it becomes Qi, Qi can separate into Yin and Yang. That's the relationship among these three. Because we introduce essence in the body, we introduce Qi in the body. Now we introduce Yin and Yang in the body. sometimes we can be confused, but they are actually the same stuff. Everything is based on qi. When we discuss yin, we discuss yin qi. We actually discuss the quiet parts of qi. So qi is the fundamental of our body. When we discuss yin qi, we actually discuss this part of qi, of the stuff in the body. And when we discuss yang, we discuss yang qi in the body, or pathogens, we discuss this parts of qi. But these two, when they combine together, they become the whole body of qi. So that's the relationship between amongst yin, yang, and qi in the essence. In acupuncture theories or in Chinese medicine theories, what we try to do is to balance. So dynamic balance of yin and yang is the foundation of a stable system. So this statement is the law we apply a lot. So in the pathological changes, we have some examples here. Yin and yang deficiency, exuberance of yin and yang, mutual impairment of yin and yang. So yin and yang, yin or yang deficiency. Yin deficiency or yang deficiency, you can see from a normal condition. Yin and yang, in the normal range, they balance, they have similar amounts of yin and yang. It's also very similar to the picture here, the fire cooking the water. The fire is not too much, which can dry the water. The water also not too much, so they have similar amounts. The fire is enough to keep the water warm. That's the balance. The pathological changes. Yin deficiency. It's actually describe the situation as the yang is still in a normal condition, but we don't have enough yin, which is supposed to be here. So in this condition, in the 3 months, we can tonify yin, we can add these parts, and we can balance. Yang deficiency is the other side. If we don't have enough yang in the 3 months, the yin is normal in the body. So in the 3 months, what we're going to do, we're going to add here. We're going to tonify the yang. So for yin deficiency and yang deficient condition, we're going to tonify the parts which is not enough. Exuberance of yang. Exuberance of yang, yin is in normal range, but you see here we got excess yang. So in this condition, we're going to clear the yang. We try to reduce this part. And the last changes is exuberance of yin. Yang is normal. We got excess yin, so we try to remove this part. We're going to clear, reduce this part of yin. Then it can recover to balance. That's our laws or our way of thinking, or also our way of treatment. All what we do is try to recover the equilibrium of yin and yang.